The internet can be a tool for beautiful change, facilitating political uprisings, increased social accountability, and the rapid spread of vital information. But it can also be a murky hellscape, populated by lonely people with malevolent intentions. The dark web isn't a place one should venture into alone. Today on Scream to Screen, we're going to explore the case of Denali Bremer, a man named Tyler, and a gangland-style death in a case we call Teenage Millionaire Murder for Hire. But before we do that, be sure to subscribe to Graveyard Shift and let us know in the comments which true-life horror stories you'd like us to cover next. By all accounts, Cynthia Hoffman was a normal teenager. She had a normal social life, was a bit lonely, but was a good kid. She went by the nickname Cece to her friends and family. She worked with her dad, helping him out with his handyman business on nights and weekends. She was the type of kid that you would expect to grow up and be a successful member of society. However, the Anchorage, Alaska resident never got that opportunity. Her life was tragically cut short. Timothy Hoffman, a craftsman by trade and Cynthia's father, got worried on the evening of June 2, 2019 when his daughter didn't show up to collect money he owed her for helping out on a minor construction job. Why did Cynthia Cece Hoffman fail to show up that fateful day? Well, there's only one person who truly has the answer to that question. Enter Denali Bremer, 18 years old, teen mom, Cece Hoffman's best friend and resident of the dark web. Denali had recently taken up the practice of chatting online with a man significantly older than her. They had an instant connection that quickly evolved into something more than friendship. It was a deep bond, a passionate romantic affair, all carried out over their cell phones. The man called himself Tyler. He claimed to be from Kansas. One of the things Bremer undoubtedly liked about Tyler was the simple fact that he was wealthy. He was a multimillionaire, in fact. However, as their blossoming romance progressed, things took a darker turn. Tyler had interests, you see. He wasn't satisfied with conventional pastimes. He had a dark hunger. As they got to know each other better, he confessed his desires to Bremer. He wanted to witness something unspeakable, something twisted. Ultimately, he offered to pay her $9 million if she collected a group of friends and sexually assaulted someone and then ended that person's life. In exchange for providing him with videos and photos of the event, he promised to supply her with digitally transferable funds, enough to live on for the rest of her life. Bremer was convinced by the proof Tyler provided. She believed that he was, in fact, a multimillionaire. She also loved him. Why would he lie to her? Additionally, she needed that money to raise her daughter. So she took it upon herself to recruit 4 friends for the purpose of carrying out this heinous crime. 16-year-old Caden McIntosh, 19-year-old Caleb Leland, and 2 other teens whose names have not been released due to their ages, all agreed to enable and assist Bremer in her dark quest. They were all promised portions of the money that Tyler would transfer to Bremer. Over the course of May and the beginning of June, the 4 friends all met with Bremer and began forming a plan of attack. Who would be the target? How could they get this person alone and make sure there were no witnesses? How could they ensure that the body was never discovered? The group selected Cece Hoffman as their target. In their eyes, she was the perfect victim. She was trusting, knew them all well, had a learning disability, and was known to be friendly to a fault. So on June 2nd of 2019, Bremer and McIntosh invited Hoffman to go hiking with them at Thunderbird Falls, a well-known local nature trail. This seemingly innocuous invitation would be the last journey that Hoffman would go on. Despite the broad daylight setting, the group of teenagers, under the spell of large amounts of promised money, were planning to kill Hoffman once they escaped the watchful eye of civilization. Hoffman and her friends commenced their hike, slowly moving through nature. Undoubtedly, everything seemed normal until they went off trail along the banks of the Eklutna River. They hiked through the underbrush and foliage for a while before stopping in a clearing. That's where things took a disturbing turn. McIntosh and Bremer produced a roll of duct tape and asked Hoffman to offer up her arms and legs for binding. It took some convincing, but they taped her limbs together, taped her mouth closed, and blindfolded her. Bremer then produced a 9mm pistol. McIntosh took it from her, pointed it at Hoffman's head, and pulled the trigger. He ended her life right there in that forest clearing. Why wasn't Bremer the one to carry out this despicable act? Well, she was filming, taking photos, and communicating with Tyler, the supposed multi-millionaire benefactor throughout the whole thing. After the act was completed, the plan was to throw Hoffman's body into the Eklutna River, and that's what they did. McIntosh and Bremer dragged the body the short distance to the riverbank and pushed it into the running water. In a minor silver lining, it appears as though Hoffman was not touched or assaulted sexually in any way before having her life taken. The cruelty and inhumanity on display was not prolonged or torturous for Hoffman to endure. Perhaps at least that fact can offer some small amount of consolation. After they had taken her life and pushed her body into the river, McIntosh and Bremer disposed of Hoffman's personal belongings and cell phone by lighting them on fire. They then quickly made their way back down the trail and returned to their lives. Later that day, Bremer texted Hoffman's family, letting them know she had dropped her off at a park called Polar Bear Park in Anchorage. To add to the sadistic act, Bremer began texting Timothy Hoffman messages of feigned concern. Bremer asked if Cynthia had come home okay, expressing concern and reiterating that she was Cynthia's best friend. Surprising to no one, the man named Tyler was not actually a multimillionaire with a fetish in line with the most dangerous game. Instead, he was actually Darren Schillmiller, a 21-year-old living with his parents in New Salisbury, Indiana. Schillmiller used photos of an adult man he found on the internet to construct his fictitious persona. He used these photos, along with romantic overtures, to catfish Bremer into carrying out this disturbed plot. According to court documents, Bremer and McIntosh were interviewed by local Anchorage police. McIntosh allegedly confessed to shooting Hoffman in the head and was arrested on first-degree murder charges. Bremer, on the other hand, denied having any prior knowledge of the events that transpired. She did allegedly admit to having witnessed McIntosh commit the crime, but would not admit to anything further. Days later, police discovered 2 Snapchat videos posted by Bremer. In one, she gives a version of events that is similar to her own proposed timeline. In the other, she appears to confess, and McIntosh can be seen pacing in the background. In that video, she says, quote, "I just want to thank everybody that's been there for me my whole life, and these past few years and everything. I know I messed up. I know I did. If I could, I would take back what I've done. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. My family, my friends. I guess you will hear from me when you hear from me, but I won't be back for a long time. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to do it." End quote. After police unearthed these videos, they re-interviewed Bremer. In this interview, Bremer admitted to working with and for Schillmiller, aka Tyler, to commit the act. Sources say she admitted the truth after realizing that Tyler was not going to give her the money and was not, in fact, a millionaire. In an arraignment on June 9th, Bremer was quoted as having said, "I know I did something wrong, and I know I could have probably done something different if I was able to. I don't want my daughter knowing that her mom grew up to be a killer because I don't see myself as one." According to additional court documents from that arraignment, Schillmiller also admitted to being Tyler and catfishing Bremer. This after being confronted by local Indiana law enforcement who'd been working in tandem with Alaskan law enforcement. He conveyed that he knew her by the name Angel and confessed to the fact that he had been telling Bremer to kill Hoffman. He even allegedly admitted to blackmailing Bremer to comply with his request, using photographs that the two had exchanged. In a darker twist to the story, Schillmiller was purportedly directing Bremer to repeat this executioning process on more people. He also allegedly confessed to working with Bremer to abuse children, specifically Bremer's daughter. According to Wave 3 News, Schillmiller was arrested on June 10th on child pornography charges, and per the KUTV report, he was charged with production of visual depictions of minors in sexually explicit conduct and the attempted receipt of those depictions. All 6 people have been charged in the murder of C.C. Hoffman, Bremer, Schillmiller, McIntosh, and the other teens Bremer enlisted for help. All 6 have pleaded not guilty, despite the overwhelming evidence against them and confessions that currently exist on record. Additionally, Bremer and Schillmiller have been charged with 5 counts relating to the abuse of minors. Their trial is currently pending. This horrific case should function as a cautionary tale to parents and children alike about the dangerous nature of both the internet and connections with online strangers who have nefarious intent. Even the most kind and well-informed individuals can be radicalized or cajoled into performing despicable acts that will forever alter the course of both their lives and everyone in their immediate circle. Cynthia Hoffman is no longer with us due to the actions of the 6 individuals who took part in her untimely demise. The horrific nature of this crime is made all the more stark due to the fact that it could have been so easily prevented if just one adult or participant had the forethought to contact the authorities. The case is still outstanding and will be held in Alaskan courts. The individuals involved will mostly be tried as adults due to their ages when the crime was committed. Hopefully, when the case is brought before a judge, justice will have its moment. But unfortunately, the effect this event has had on the Hoffman family can never be undone. So what do you think? Should the assailants in question be tried as minors? Is there a way to prevent crimes like this from happening? How can people like Darren Schillmiller be stopped before they even attempt something like this? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe for more videos from The Graveyard Shift.